A long day of debate for Nebraska lawmakers. They're currently considering a bill to establish a fixed annual increase to minimum wage.
That goes against an initiative passed by voters 3 years ago. First Alert 6's Philip Katafamo has what this could mean for the workforce.
Minimum wage in Nebraska is currently increasing by $1.50 each year until it reaches $15 next year. Then, starting in 2027, adjustments would be made to cover inflation based on the Midwest Consumer Price Index. A bill being debated by lawmakers would instead cap those adjustments at 1.5%. Bill sponsor Senator Jane Raybould says that would be better for business owners because it's more predictable.
In 2022, it was 6.5%. On the national side, it was 9.1%. And then last year in Nebraska, it was 3.1%. Daycare centers, home health care workers, any type of retailer, restaurants can really plan better because they know that it'll be a fixed increase, where it's hard to predict where the CPI will be.
Similar to how the law is set now, Senator Raybould says 258 tries to create a balance and does not stop businesses from offering a higher minimum wage.
It's up to a lot of businesses to prove that they're competitive, they pay fairly, and they offer competitive benefits.
Senator Danielle Conrad believes the bill undermines the increases voters approved in 2022. She argues in the past, wages haven't always kept pace with the cost of living.
That's why voters took measures into their own hands and said, instead of coming back every few years to increase the minimum wage, let's increase the minimum wage, peg it to inflation, and then that should take the issue off the table.
Senator Conrad argues the cap violates voter trust without providing a solution. She worries if it passes, LB 258 could hurt the wallets of working Nebraskans.
It would be about $1,300 less in their pocket per year. Who's making up that difference?
Conrad says when the initial initiative passed, more than 300 state business leaders supported the increase and that it passed without a counter campaign.
Nebraska small businesses know that providing a good wage helps to increase productivity and decrease turnover. So the fact that some businesses, like the grocery industry that Senator Raybould represents, can't seem to figure it out from a bottom line perspective, that's a different story.
In Omaha, I'm Philip Katafamo, First Alert 6.
LB 285 would also establish a $13.50 minimum wage for 14 and 15-year-old workers. In addition, it would amend the 90-day training wage for new employees to $13.50 for workers between 16 and 18 years old. Those changes would be in effect through 2026, and adapted rules would start after that.